I spent a week with Google's new Pixel 11, taking photos, using it as my main phone alongside the new Pixel 11 Pro, and I just gotta say this now. These Pixel devices on paper might be a bit underwhelming, and I mean, you're not wrong, but in all honesty though, the Pixel 11 is a really good phone. It's not trying to be a smartphone that's advertising to have the best raw performance. It's a Pixel phone, which means two things. Focusing on software features and to give you the best AI features that no one's really asking for. But in all seriousness though, I think the Pixel 11 is worth it if the price is right. So let's talk about it. So this right here is the Pixel 11 in this beautiful green pistachio color. And I'm not sure if I'm doing the color justice, but it just looks really good in person. So the Pixel 11 is of course rocking the new Google Tensor G6 processor, which is 20% more power efficient and roughly about 20 to 25% faster overall compared to last year's G5 chip. So what does that mean exactly? I'll tell you guys in a little bit, but everything about the Pixel 11 and how it looks look very similar to last year's Pixel 10 with just a different coating. The camera visor did get 40% slimmer, which is nice to see, and if you put a case on this, the camera bump basically disappears. Now, the triple camera setup is still here, where the main wide camera got a pretty big bump in sensor size, which is always welcome, but the ultra wide and the telephoto are still the same small sensors at 13 megapixels for the ultra wide and 10.8 megapixel for the 5x telephoto. Now, the screen didn't change all that much, which would have been nice if we finally got LTPO for the base model. It's still a 6.3-inch OLED display, but unlike the Pro, it can only do 60 to 120 Hz and not the 1 to 120 Hz refresh rate that the Pro has. Besides that though, the battery got a little bit bigger, and it's a shame that we're still not using silicon carbon batteries in 2026. I would have loved to see 5,500 milliamp hours or 6,000 milliamp hours battery on these phones, but maybe we'll have to wait till next year. Now, charging is still capped to 30 watts, which is a bummer. 45 watts like the Pixel 11 Pro XL would have been nice across the board, but hey, at least we finally can do 25 watt wireless charging using Pixel Snap or Qi 2.2 like the Pixel 11 Pro. So let's talk about my week with the Pixel 11. So first things first, this phone feels like a Pixel device through and through. The base Pixel 11 feels just as good as the Pixel 11 Pro in hand, but the colors are more fun in my opinion. I do like that the frames on the phone is matte and we have a glossy glass on the back. I kind of prefer this over the Pro's shiny sides and matte back, but that's just me. And like I mentioned earlier, Google did manage to make the camera visor slimmer by 40%, which is a pretty big deal because that means it's less prone to wobbles, especially if you put a case on the phone. Now, as far as software goes, I mean, it's a Pixel phone. Pixel UI is pretty much what you'd get if iOS all of a sudden turned into Android and you get Google's Gemini instead of Siri. New features this year for the Pixel 11 includes Magic Capture, which essentially records a video and takes the best frames out of those videos and exports a 12 megapixel shot that AI think is a good shot. There's also the new Rambler feature, which is a voice-to-text dictation feature where you can just yap and fix your wording midway through, and AI is going to be able to type out exactly what you want. It's kind of a crazy impressive feature here. Now, I'm not sure what it is about Pixel devices, but the software experience have always been very fluid and responsive, and it just makes using this phone super enjoyable. Overall though, Android 17 in terms of how it looks and how it works day to day isn't all that different from Android 16. There's a lot of under the hood improvements and apps launching faster, but I mean, that's to be expected year over year. Now, one thing that Google still won't allow you to do with their stock launcher is to apply custom icon packs, which really irks me. The beauty of using an Android device is that you can customize your phone how you want. So after a couple of days of using the stock launcher, I ended up using Launchair, which is probably the closest thing that you'll get to the stock Pixel launcher experience, but you can apply third-party icon packs that you can download from the Google Play Store. And this is definitely the way to go if you want a custom icon pack on your home screen. And then when it comes to performance, I personally feel like it's very similar to last year's Pixel 10. Maybe it's just a little bit more responsive than last year's Pixel 10, but that could also be because it's a new phone set up from scratch and it's got a new processor. I haven't installed any of my emulators on here yet, but I have tried a couple of games from the Play Store like Diablo Immortal, Genshin Impact, and Where Winds Meet. And while Diablo Immortal works fine, it's stuck at 30 FPS. There's no way to force the game to run at 60 FPS, which sucks. Also, Genshin Impact, Where Winds Meet are literally unplayable because of the assets or shaders or whatever the reason is, it's glitching out. But the most annoying thing is you can't even touch any of the menu buttons. There seems to be some sort of invisible layer that's causing the notification shade to be toggled every time you try to press on those tiny buttons. I think this is a bug, and games are not fully optimized for the Tensor G6 yet, or this phone in general. And if you really want to game on your phone, the Pixel 11 series might not be it. So one of the things I was really looking forward to is how Google improved their camera system and processing as a whole. With a new main sensor and an updated ISP from the Tensor G6, how do the photos look from the Pixel 11? So first things first, Google is giving us camera looks, which isn't your typical filter system that gets baked into the photos that you shoot. This is very similar to Apple's photographic styles, where you can get a few different looks and customize the parameters like the contrast, the color temperature, the shadows, and even add grain to your photos, which isn't something I thought Google would be able to do, but here we are. And I'd say almost all of the shots that I've been able to capture with the Pixel 11 are all shot with these creative looks enabled. For me, in the style I like, I personally love the classic and editorial profiles. Classic gives you that film look with less contrast and lifted shadows, and editorial sort of gives you that nice teal and orange look with that nice crunchy contrasty shadows. One thing I'm noticing with these camera looks is that they don't really handle exposure all that well. Even if you tap to focus on a bright part of the frame, it's not going to lower your exposure like if you had these camera looks disabled. No matter which look you're using, exposure seems to be a pretty big issue here, where photos are going to look overexposed if there's something really bright in the frame. Now, this might be a bug or something that was just overlooked, but I feel like photos shouldn't be overexposed. And even if it was intentional, I feel like the metering should automatically adjust for the bright part of the photo. I don't know, sometimes photos with camera looks enabled looks great, sometimes it's a mess. Another thing that's been bugging me as I'm testing out all these new Pixel devices is that the exposure slider doesn't seem to be saving on exit. I feel like every other phone that has an exposure dial that you can customize can save on exit, but on these Pixel 11 devices, you have to keep setting that exposure slider all the time, which is really annoying. Next up is the video quality. So the Pixel 11, in my opinion, is just okay when it comes to video. Stabilization on the main camera and 5x looks pretty good, and yeah, colors look pretty natural, but I don't know how many generation it's been now, but for whatever reason, there's still no 4K 60 option for the ultra-wide camera on the native camera app. However, if you download Blackmagic's camera app, you can shoot with the ultra-wide at 4K 60, which is awesome. So yeah, Google definitely still has a lot of work to do to make this camera experience on these new Pixel phones better. And with that being said, when it comes to filming videos on a smartphone, I'd still rather use my Vivo X300 Ultra or iPhone 17 Pro to shoot videos on the go. And yeah, that's pretty much it with the Pixel 11. To sum up my week with it, it's a pretty good upgrade if you're coming from an older Pixel device, but if you already have the Pixel 10, there's literally no reason to upgrade this year unless you can get the Pixel 11 at a really good price, something like $300, or you're paying like $5 to $10 a month for 24 months. Because I know with the whole Rampocalypse thing, prices of every tech product that you can think of has gone up in price in one way or the other, and with that extra $100 price bump, it's kind of a hard sell for these phones. But also, I'm not really sure what Google's plans are for these software features that they launched with the Pixel 11. Like, are we gonna see these on older Pixel devices in a few months, or are these camera features and AI features exclusive to the Pixel 11 family? I personally don't know the answer, but if they are exclusive, then yeah, I'd say it's a pretty good reason to upgrade, but only if you can get these on a good deal or your old phone's, about to give up. But if you can't get a good deal, I definitely would pass on these for now. Now, next video, I'll be talking more about the Pixel 11 Pro and its cameras, and that video drops very soon, so stay tuned to the channel, hit subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you all in the next one.